Hey everyone, it's Zach from Zach Green's Reptiles. I wanted to do a quick little video of a couple of methods that I use for babies that are a little bit reluctant to eat. Keep in mind, this is what I do. Different things work for different breeders. So if you have a baby that is not feeding properly, be sure to contact that breeder that you got it from and see how that baby is set up. A lot of times it could be they're not used to the new surroundings, their new environment, and setting it up exactly like the breeder had it usually helps a lot when it comes to babies that just will not commit. Um, Before I get too far into it, I do want to throw up a little disclaimer that this video will show snakes feeding on whole prey items, so if that's something that bothers you, be sure to shut off the video at that time. If not, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, let me know what you think, let me know what your methods are, and let's get down to it. All the rodents in this video are humanely euthanized according to the American Veterinary Medical Association guidelines. As I've mentioned, try to replicate the enclosure how the original breeder had it. Always try to feed in the evenings or at night. This video is really referring to frozen thawed. I usually can get probably 95+% of my babies to feed on frozen thawed for the first meals. Typically thawed out and then heated up to approximately about 102 degrees. Between 100 and 102 is what I typically do. Some babies will prefer it wet, some babies will prefer it dry. So you just kind of have to read it a little bit, what the animal looks like it wants. The first method of approaching it is I'll try to grab the rat by the scruff, either the rat or the mouse, but I try to grab by the scruff and simulate how a live rat would move around in the enclosure. This can sometimes trigger a feeding response because it thinks it is a live rodent. If that doesn't work, I typically leave the rodent overnight just laying right in front of the face of the snake. That way you can smell it right there, and sometimes they'll leave it overnight, sometimes they won't. Another method that I use is to gently tap the rodent on the side of the snake all along the body. This will sometimes irritate the snake a little bit without overstressing it, and will get the snake to strike. And usually after a couple of strikes, it'll strike and coil, or it'll strike and hold on to the rodent after it strikes. If it does hold on to the rodent, just let go of the rodent, walk away, and wait to see if it'll start consuming the rodent. Make sure you never ever hit the snake in the face with the rodent. This is going to startle it, scare it, overstress it, and chances are you will not get that animal to eat, especially for the next couple of days, the next couple of attempts at feeding. Another tip is to, while you're tapping it along the side of the snake, blood pythons absolutely hate their tails being messed with. So if you gently tap their tail, they will turn back around at you and oftentimes strike. And that'll also sometimes trigger that strike and coil or strike and hold on to the rodent after a couple of strikes. Now in the video that is coming up, you're going to see me on occasion bring the very nose of the mouse straight up to the snout of the snake and vibrate it gently. I am not putting any pressure against the snake. I'm not hitting the snake. I'm not shaking the snake. I am just pressing the nose to its nose very gently and vibrating it. And a lot of times you'll see the snake bite the rodent straight on the mouth. The entire head of the rodent will go into the mouth of the snake and it'll hold on to it. It won't coil, but it'll just hold on to it. And at that time, I will release the rodent from the tongs, step back. I will not even bother closing the tub. I will just keep an eye from a distance, and usually within about anywhere between 5 and 20 minutes, it will start eating on that rodent. And if it doesn't, it'll drop it and I will try again. Now, with all that said, always wait a few days before you attempt to re-offer the rodent. 4 to 5 days or a week after offering the rodent is when you really want to reoffer it, because if you do it too often, you're going to overstress that snake, and chance of it actually eating is going to be slim. Now let's get down to the actual feeding video, and you'll see a couple of these methods used. Just kind of watch it, use it for your own reference. A lot of different breeders will use different methods. Like I said before, this is what works for me. Use it as you will. Talk to a couple different breeders and use what works best for that animal. All right, as I said before, I'm going to be feeding 7 babies. These hatched in May. Some of these are a little bit reluctant, some of them aren't. So I'm just going to kind of show you how I do it. Just kind of tap them along the neck area. Put it right in front of their face, jiggle a little bit. There she goes. Move on to the next. This one is in shed, so I'm not entirely sure she will eat or not. Gonna do pretty much the same thing. There she goes. She let it go. There she goes. And she will eat that. This one, as you can see, is ready to go. So it typically needs not very much coaxing. Here we go. Actually, I don't want all that moss. Try to avoid them getting it in their mouth. This one's usually a very good eater. This is one that's typically reluctant. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to position it to where the head of the mouse, so when they strike, that'll pretty much go down right into his mouth. Oop, there we go. Say it's reluctant, it's one of the best feeders tonight. It's another one that typically is very reluctant. Let's see what he does. As you can see, I'm just very gently tapping her. Try to position it so when she does strike, the head of that mouth goes straight into her mouth. Here we go. And that's it.